You were just talking about what you thought about defunding the police and Black Lives Matter calling for that. What do you think?
Well, I tell you this. I grew up in a neighborhood where it was pretty rough projects, and the police didn't come there. And since the police didn't show up there often, it was run by the thugs, the criminals, and it was just chaotic. And the police weren't defunded where I was from. They just, chief told them not to go there. So there was the violence went up, the rate went up. Nobody called the police because it was pointless because they didn't come. But we have to think about the elderly and people who can't defend themselves in these neighborhoods before we start talking about defunding police. It's okay if you're 25, 30 years old and you think that we don't need a police force. But there are people, for some unfortunate circumstances, live in these neighborhoods that you're trying to defund. You look at Seattle, for instance. They've taken over a whole precinct, and nobody's thinking about the store owners who own stores there and shops. They're not thinking about the other people who are not even with this so-called protest who live in that area. That's why we need the police. The police have not taken back that precinct, and that's a perfect example of what you're going to live like if the police are totally defunded across the nation.
And what do you think about the Black Lives Matter cause in general right now?
Well, as far as Black Lives Matter, I'll tell you, being a black man, I can't say at 52 that I've never been racially profiled. But, I can't say in the past 30 years. The concept of Black Lives Matter is great, but to deny that all lives don't matter is the bad thing about it. Now, I think that 90% of the protesters are out there to honestly concerned about the injustice by the police department, but you have two other groups out there. You have the antagonists who stir up the violence, and then you also have the opportunists who are there to steal and loot. So I can never support a group that even communicates and marches with people like that.
Give me a second, I'll get your card.
And why do you think they haven't come out in support of pro-life causes? There's a lot of the abortion being very prevalent in parts of the black community.
What are you talking about? Black Lives Matter?
That's correct.
Well, if you take a look at Black Lives Matter page, their official page, they're all about removing the man out of the household anyway. So why would they support pro-life? They're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So they're more concerned about the now and not the future. But unfortunately, they're going to realize that everybody gets old.